Welcome, everybody. I am Jimmy, your host, and this is episode 209 of the Horrific Podcast. It's been a little while, man. It's been almost a month since the last Horrific Podcast, and we've have done some other podcasting on this channel, but not to beat a dead horse, as I have kind of talked about on previous shows before. But things are very busy for us. We are in production of what is actually my last student film called Ghost Executioners, a short film. It's kind of like The Office meets Ghostbusters, but it is a fun one. This week, though, we have a lot of content on our podcasting channel that'll be going up for you today. Obviously, we'll get into the show here in a minute, and tomorrow the 2020 Horrific Hall of Fame show will go up. Then Thursday the Golden Skulls will go up. So big week podcasting wise for you to enjoy all of our content, biggest shows of the year. First and foremost, Parasite absolutely crushing it at the Academy Awards last night. The first film, at least I think to my knowledge, that has won, it used to be called foreign language, now they are calling it international, which is a cool thing to do. Film and Best Picture of the Year. It also won Best Screenplay. I want to say it won Best Screenplay, and it won Best Director. So this film absolutely crushed it at the Academy Awards, just dominating left and right, really. And what has been a fun ride for that film, definitely probably going to continue on now, even more so. More people are going to see it after its showing last night, which is really exciting for those filmmakers and South Korea in general in the film industry over there. Today, though, I want to get into, with these podcasts, horrific podcasts in general, content with cast interviews and some other stuff that I have seen in time, and it's our noses are to the stone right now. Like, we are grinding away on this project, and that is kind of alleviating time away from being able to get in touch via Skype or in person with any real live interviews or recorded interviews during the week. And it's probably going to be like this for a while, at least on this show, but we are still media, and we still get granted some cool material that fits really well on this program. So today I want to talk about and highlight Apple TV Plus's Netflix, Apple TV Plus's Servant, and this is from M.Night Shyamalan. He produced it. You'll find out real quick that in the opening title card that he didn't direct it and he didn't write it, which I kind of thought he did, but I think he's just producing this thing. But this thing is a interesting show, man, and it deals with a mom and dad, played by Toby Kebbell and Lauren Rose, and they have lost their child after birth. I want to say 13 weeks old or somewhere around there. There was some kind of issue, and the mom, as a coping mechanism, has like one of those still life dolls, and this thing, they hire a nanny. So the mom is convinced that the nanny, or that the baby is alive still, And the husband kind of tells this nanny, who the nanny played by Nell Tiger Free, is a weird, like, Christian, hardcore Christian, seemingly person from Wisconsin, and the couple lives in New York, and are very modern, rich. They're not snobbish, but they're not snobbish at the same time. But it's not they're not necessarily people I would hang out with, but they're not bad people either. They do a decent job at this nanny kind of sympathizing with the mom as far as pretending that this baby's alive. The husband, keeps telling the nanny, you don't have to do this, you don't have to play along with it. Well, at the end of the first episode, something pretty dramatic happens. And if you have to, if you haven't seen it and you plan on watching it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the cast interviews, and then we'll get into spoilers. So you can enjoy the cast interviews, you can enjoy the spoilers, or you can enjoy, right now, the before the interview talk and the interviews, and then if you don't want to listen to the spoilers of kind of what goes on, then that will kind of be your cue to turn it off and come back to us at a later date if you haven't, or if you plan on watching Servant here. So this interview with M.Night, I think, was a quick one, and he's kind of telling you what you can expect from the film, and we'll get into some of the cast interviews here in a minute. But first, here's M. Night Shyamalan talking Servant.
Night, good to see you.
See you too.
There's a lot of excitement amongst your film fans every time you're coming up with something. Do you think they will get what they expect?
I actually think they will. Sometimes I'm consciously not doing that, but This time I think they're going to get the things that they're very excited about, the mystery, the thriller aspect of it, and unexpected things as they unfold.
Mm-hmm. Right. So far they've watched your movies in the cinemas where it's dark, it's a big screen, the volume can be controlled by you guys. Now this will be a different. Are you prepared that they'll be watching on the phone, on the iPad? Does that make a difference to you?
It's an interesting question. I've been thinking about whether, if you do storytelling at the highest quality, will that cause them to not want to watch it on their phone and then watch it on their iPad, or then watch it on their iPad and then go, no, I'm going to watch it on my computer, and then go, wait, no, I'm going to watch it on my TV.
Right.
That I will force that movement up to the best version of how they can watch it at home. It'll be interesting to see how they all consume this, because we're definitely using cinema aesthetics here. The storytelling instincts are the same, so I'm thinking of it almost like a group of people watching this together, and what would make them, excited or react. In the movie theater, when something crazy happens, you'll turn to the other, you'll elbow the person next to you, or you'll scream or grab them or that kind of thing. And I think a little bit of that's going to happen with this at home as well. We showed one of the episodes with a bunch of people the first time, the first episode, and there, that scene where he goes to the crib for the first time. People screamed when that happened, and so it's very much the same instincts are there. So we'll see. Maybe it'll cause a kind of communal experiences in the home.
Right. So as filmmakers, are you guys getting used to it that this is the future? Now they'll be watching things on the phone. Are you come to terms with it?
Two separate art forms for me. The film art form is a separate one. That's you get in your car, you get a babysitter, you go in the movie theater. You cannot multitask. Okay. There's no chance. You're not supposed to be on your phone. You're not supposed to talk.
Exactly.
And you have to focus. And it is, with 300 people, 300 people, and you're having a group experience there.
Right.
This is different. This is different. So it's interesting. It's longer form story, and shorter form because it's half episode. It's half hour, so it has strengths of both a little bit.
Right. So coming to Servant, what has happened to this couple? At this point, you can tell us slightly more. We're on the verge of coming out.
Yeah.
What has happened to this couple? Are they in one house? Where have you shot?
Well, Servant's the story of a couple who have lost their child.
Right.
And they're doing a therapy where the mom pretends a doll that looks very realistic.
It does.
That her child is alive. So she treats this doll like it's alive. And this is supposed to help with the mourning. But she takes it to such an extent that she hires a nanny to take care of the doll when she decides to go to work. And then the weird part about the setup of the show is the nanny starts treating the doll like it's alive.
Right.
So that's what I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. That's a lot. And, casting must have been interesting because Leanne, she's amazing. Like, she's such a lovely girl. But in this entire series, I couldn't make out whether, she's doing something weird. She's just so straight-faced. Was that casting important for you?
Oh yeah, the four characters were critical that right person comes through the door.
Sure.
As you know, I've used a lot of younger people in my storytelling because I've enjoyed either working with theater trained actors or young people. I find that those two populations are really interesting for me. The young people are more connected to who they are. So if you find that really kind of offbeat human being who's 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, they're still connected to that in a truthful way. They haven't learned all of the kind of ways we lie or betray each other by pretending, how are you? And like all of that stuff hasn't even come into them yet.
They're too raw.
Yeah, they're really raw. And so you get the benefit of that on screen where, hey, this is where she's coming from and I can explain it and you see this very unique color that comes out.
Right. I read at some point you were supposed to direct a Harry Potter movie as well. So.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so it was wild having Rupert. Actually, I met Rupert on the set of Harry Potter when I went to visit a couple times when we were considering one was before he was cast, and then after he was cast, there was talks of me doing one of the other ones. And so I came to the set, I met the kids, and he was a baby at that time, so it was really wild. And I don't think he remembers me at that time now.
Right. My next question is very simple. Is it easy to scare people?
Yeah, I think you just trigger the unknown in people. You just trigger, that's what being scared is. And it's a evolutionary thing in us that keeps us safe. Right. Don't go down that path. We don't know it. It keeps you safe if you feel scared about the unknown.
Right.
Stay with the group kind of thing. Now, obviously, that can be tipped in bad ways, like you see in politics or anything. That fear can be used to keep you together, bind you in a bad way. But all I have to do storytelling-wise is say, hey, you and I are in a house, no one's home, tell me what's going on, and then we hear a creak upstairs. And then, hey, I thought this house was empty. And then there you go, unknown, and everybody's uneasy.
Right. Since you make this genre, you know this so well, what do you enjoy watching? Are you watching any Indian content or anything at all?
My wife watches Indian content, so you can ask her what she's watching. And so occasionally I come in and I see what's happening there, what movies she's watching. She watches some Indian shows. There was this young couple, I don't know the name of it, but there was a young couple. It was actually quite good.
Okay.
So, but
what are you watching? Yeah.
Oh, gosh, I wish I could watch more. I don't watch a ton of stuff. I watch old movies or foreign movies a lot. But I want to get in more. Oh, I've been watching Chernobyl.
Oh, wow. Okay,
yeah, which I love.
Nice.
Love. That I'm in the middle of that right now.
Anything that scared you in any show, any movie?
Well, Chernobyl is terrifying. It's absolutely terrifying. Yeah, it's amazing.
You know how it's done.
But it's still that you can evoke that, wow, even though we even know what happened.
Right.
All of that, and everything's okay. Your heart's fluttering. It's so well done.
And that's what happened to me in Servant. Thank you so much for entertaining us.
Thank you so much. Pleasure.
So there you go, man. M.Night talking about what to expect in the film, and then we get into the film. And like I mentioned, the parents are obviously a key aspect of this film or of this show. Toby Kebbell and Lauren Rose, obviously, Toby plays like a well-known chef, where he cooks out of this industrial kitchen that they have in their house in New York, and Lauren is playing a news anchor, which is also pretty interesting, where she's going back to work and she, she being mentally broken, which she kind of is, after losing her child, which is understandable, obviously. They're trying to wake her up and clue her in on the fact that their son Jericho has died, and she has, like I said, the still life doll that kind of shadows that fact from her, and continuously doesn't you know she's pretty convinced, heavily convinced actually, that the baby is still alive, and to watch that play out with these two is pretty captivating. It's pretty intriguing, and it makes you want to find out how this thing is going to turn out for them. You root for Lauren, and even more so, you root for Toby's character, because he has some weird stuff happen to him as well. Once the caretaker moves in. So here's Lauren and Toby talking about their experiences working on Servant.
And congrats on the show. I'm 5 episodes in. I cannot wait to finish the last 5.
Cool.
What's 5, Bear?
That's fine. What happened?
Right. I don't want to say because I'm going to air this part before.
Sure, yeah.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I'm just going to. The thing about the show that I will say that is fair game is there's a lot of WTF things.
Right.
Talk a little bit about when you guys first got approached for the series. How much did you know about where it was all going to go, and how much you sort of like, well, it's Night, it's going to be good.
The latter immediately. That's how I thought, and I came to it, and Lauren was already attached, and I love her work and was like, I want to do this. And I knew who Sean was, and I desperately wanted to do it. But every time we came to reread the episode as a cast, I was like, wait, did that happen? Did I miss that totally? And we got 9 episodes to start. So there was tons of time when we do the full cast read. I was like, I missed that completely.
Yeah.
So always saying WTF.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, Night's being at the helm of this was definitely a big draw for me. I wanted to be in a thriller. I've never been in one. And to work with master of the genre seemed like a pretty safe place to be as an actor, because this is a really challenging character, which is what I liked about it. It's a strange lady struggling.
Well, one of the things that I actually really dig about the show is that it's what happens is realistic in this situation. Like, it's not, like it's playing it like, what if this really happened? Right. And it's not, you know what I mean? Not introduced.
I feel like that's what Night does. He has the characters at one timbre, playing it real and playing it straight and being in their world. And then underneath, there's all of these like tectonic plates shifting and all these swirling, crazy supernatural energies that the characters that we as a family aren't even aware of. And I feel like that's a thing that he does quite magically.
And for us, we had to come at it from a point of view of, what if this had happened? Where are you if this happens to you and your wife? Where are you if this is your brother-in-law? Where are you if suddenly this stranger is in your house,
Completely. I had to look away from the screen during the eel scene.
Tell me about it. I had to look away while we were shooting it. That was the nastiest day I've ever been on a set.
Nell vomited that day.
She actually puked in a bucket.
She said that to me on camera.
It was a lot of work, but again, it was something that was written in the script and everyone was very excited about. And then I went into the kitchens and I was like, hey, we have to skin an eel. And they were like, oh, don't do that. That's impossible work. I was like, what do you mean? They were like,
the real chefs. The real chefs were saying, like, you mustn't
do that. It's impossible. Don't do that. You got to nail it to a wooden board. The skin underneath the blood is a neurotoxin. If you get it in your mouth, like, I was like, pardon me? And they were like, yeah, dude, tomorrow we'll go get 4 eels. So we went down to the fishery delivery bay, wherever it is. And we go, like, the Italian market, we go pick up these eels that someone's called and got from the fish from New York, and they bring them in, and we get them. And you have to nail that poor thing to a board and cut it in a V, and then try and get your fingers with rubber gloves on under the skin and whip it off.
That's Toby's research, but on the set, I will let you know that no eel was harmed.
Oh, no, yeah.
Yeah. No, everyone's
filming.
very clear about
Rubber
that.
eels. Yeah,
In the
yeah.
filming, no, really,
all rubber
it was
eels.
unbelievable
We
how
did a great
they had to
switch.
go through, crazy switcheroos,
We
rubber
did our
eels.
switcheroo. We had real eels in the thing. We had the guys from Animal Humane Society, and we had them there. And I picked up the eel, and I'm talking to Lauren, and then I bring the eel down,
Live
and
eel and-
drew the chefs down there,
rubber eel.
and he caught it into a little bucket and handed me a little rubber eel so I could go boom to stun it, right? 'Cause you
Right,
have to
completely.
stun the eel. Yeah.
Yeah, no, everyone's been saying
Overexcited.
There was
Sorry.
even
Right.
there were dead eels, there were live eels, there were
Yeah,
fake
we had
eels, and then
yeah.
there was a drill animating a dead
Yeah.
eel.
Here's the thing. Ultimately, though, I had to look away from the screen, and I think a lot of people will experience what I did, which is...
Yeah.
Or Mel did.
Or, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
When you guys think back, besides the eel day, when you think back on the making of the show, is there like a day or two that you're always going to remember? Or is that like really the one that just is...
It was but actually I have tons of fond memories, and what was nice actually about playing the chef is we had a little satellite kitchen separate from the kitchen on set, which worked, and I spent a lot of my time with Drew cooking and figuring out these things. We cooked an actual haggis, and it smelt so bad that because we were right by where all the props and it was a huge complaint, so we had to just make a huge sausage in the end. We didn't do an actual haggis.
I had some news reports that were really out there and fun to do, but I don't want to divulge them because they're
Sure,
funny.
yeah. But they were awesome, yeah.
I'm thinking...
And gross. I had some like gross, but whatever.
One of the things I really like about the way Apple does their shows is that you get a few at once and then it's weekly.
I agree.
And I'm because it allows people to have like that public conversation because everyone can
That's
be
what
in
we
the
were just
same
saying.
place.
I like that.
Right, and so I wanted to know what's your thoughts on this, and maybe what's the last thing you binged?
I love it. I love the idea because you get a little bit of a binge and it helps you get into the show. Because I started watching the shows that came out first. You know,
Sure.
I mean, Snoopy. I watched all of them because they allowed you to have them all. So I obviously watched all of them 8 minutes long. But the morning show, I was like, I'll watch it. This is great. I'll watch the second. The third. When's the next one? You know, so it works. I think really well, and it gives you that feeling of like, it's Friday and I can catch up on my shows. Mm-hmm. I rewatched all of The Sopranos while we were shooting the show.
Okay,
There's a binge. You watched.
I binge
The
watched it.
Sopranos.
I would go home and
It's
just
a really
watch.
good idea.
Yeah.
It's a great
so
show.
good.
It's so good.
yeah. What and your thoughts on the whole weekly thing?
I like the weekly. I'm an old-fashioned kind of person. I like the old-fashioned.
Yeah.
Wait for it, marinate on it, imagine what might happen, talk about it with your friends,
Yeah,
look forward. It's an event. Make popcorn. This kind of thing.
completely. I'll tell you, as someone who runs a website, it's much better for us to have something that people can talk about every week,
Right.
rather than having it all.
Here
at
it all
once.
is.
Yeah, I gotta go. Congrats on the show.
Pleasure, man.
Can't wait to finish it.
Thank you very much.
So there those two are, and you could tell that they enjoyed the show. They thought it was a creepy show, and it was a creepy show. But the reason why it's so creepy is Nell Tiger Free's character. And hey, shout out to Rupert Grint. And you know Rupert from the Harry Potter franchise. They really fleshed his character out over the course of this thing as well. And we've seen Harry Potter. I'm freaking blanking on his name. I can't believe that I am. And we've seen Hermione in Emma Watson in projects past Harry Potter, but I hadn't really seen Ron. I hadn't seen Rupert Grint do anything specifically in another genre, in another subject matter like this. And he can act. It's not just they casted him, the whole thing with J.K. Rowling. It was pretty well known, pretty well documented fact that she only wanted UK actors in the Harry Potter movies. And so, you could argue that that's why Rupert got the job, or why any of them got the job. Obviously, they're talented actors, but to favor the UK just because that's where that story originated from, which is fine. That's not a horrible thing by any means of the imagination. I'm just letting people know that J.K. Rowling wanted that specifically to happen. But thing of it is that film, or this show with Rupert Grint in it, wouldn't be the same, I don't think, without him in it. And same goes for Nell. She is just eerie from the first second that you see her. And obviously there's something going on with her character, and we'll get into that in a moment after you check out this interview with Nell and Rupert.
Do it.
Good.
I
Can't agree on anything.
Right. Was this the way it was on set? A lot of disagreements on who's doing press, and I'm joking.
No, we actually got along, didn't we?
We did. We've done very few.
Keep hesitating.
We had very few disagreements.
We did.
Nothing really springs to mind.
Right. I guess if I'll have one of you throw each other under the bus. Who ruined the most takes and why?
Oh yeah, that would be me.
That has got to be me, isn't it? When me and Toby kept corpsing because he said the boob line, and then I broke character, and we had to do like 15 takes. It was not good.
So you're a professional. That wouldn't.
Oh
happen.
yeah.
No,
absolutely.
he does it too.
No, I do. I have got a reputation of a bit of a corpser. But the thing with this, we're doing such long takes as well. It's quite hard, especially when it's very quiet. That's when I find it the hardest to stay in the zone. Because some of the takes were like 3 minutes long.
Yeah.
Completely.
Which is a long time to stay in
to
that
stay
world.
in character.
But it's
I saw the first 5 episodes, and this is a creepy at times show. I'm just going to give you guys props. I'm looking forward to finishing the series. How much did you guys know about the whole arc of the season when you first signed on? And how much was it sort of like Knight or Tony saying, here's how it's going to go, just trust us, it's going to be, you know what I mean?
I think it was a lot of that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if...
We got 8, didn't we? We got sent 8 episodes.
We got 8, yeah.
Right at
the
the
last
start.
2 were kind of shrouded in mystery.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't really know.
We weren't allowed to
But I don't know if you had, like, secret information.
I did get a little bit of
Yeah, you
secret
did a
information.
bit, yeah. But no, I mean,
Which
originally...
I would tell you.
Yeah, you would. You're the worst at
I'm so bad.
keeping it secret. But no, I think when I first started, I really only read the first 3. And actually, originally it was just one scene. It was these 2 guys having this really intense conversation about a doll. And it instantly kind of sparked my curiosity. He had no idea kind of where this was going and what was happening. And it was, I think also because they're quite short scripts as well, they'd be just incredibly addictive. And you just wanted to know more and more. And yeah, it's very, very cleverly written.
Yeah, I burned through the first 8. So I got sent one episode when I did my audition, and then when I got the part, they sent me all 8, and I read them all in one sitting, and then they kept it right till the end until we got the last 2. So we were like, what's going to happen? We had no idea.
That's me right now.
Yeah. There you go.
One of the things I think that's really cool about this is that it's very realistic. It's like what would really happen if this situation were to arise. Can you sort of talk about that aspect of the show?
Yeah, I think that is quite a strong thing. It's a very kind of realistic look into this world, but it also has this kind of it makes the audience kind of think, is there kind of some sort of supernatural thing going on here? And you're constantly asking these questions about all the characters. I think, are they good or are they bad? And you don't really know, so it's very unsettling in that respect, which is something I really liked.
Yeah, I think that like at the core of this story, it's about people. So I guess it was just trying to translate how people would react in the most natural way we could, and I think there are lots of different realities, and it's sort of like pick which reality. I mean, my character has a different reality as to what's actually going on. Rupert's character does. Everyone is seeing this story play out differently, so sort of pick your person who you think has got it right, I guess.
You started with Knight as the director. I think you did another episode, but then you had a lot of different directors. What is it like making a series like this when you have different sort of headmasters, if you will, coming in to, direct?
I think the further along we got in the project, the more it sort of started to feel like a group sort of dynamic. I don't know. It was always very collaborative from the outset with Night and with everyone. But I think when we got more acquainted with the story and with the characters, there are people coming in and out, but we stay, and we stayed, and we lived through the whole thing. So I think that made us slightly more well versed on what we wanted to achieve. So we all just worked together. So it was interesting to have people come in and out of something you're so close to, if that answers your question.
And I think because we never leave the house as well, so it's always kind of in the same kind of canvas in each kind of episode. And it was interesting we were very lucky we had some great directors come in, and obviously, as Neil says, Night was always kind of behind the scenes, kind of had a close eye on everything. But it was interesting. I've never really kind of filmed anything like it because being in that house, the geography of that house, it kind of dictates how you shoot things, and a lot of things were kind of like one setup scenes. The whole scene would be a take. So it was quite an interesting way of working. It felt quite almost like a play at the time.
When you think back on the making of the show, is there like a day or two you're always going to remember, like memorable moments from filming?
Yeah. Eel Day. Eel Day for me.
Oh yeah, I wasn't there.
No, you weren't. Luckily,
I heard
you weren't
about
there. Yeah.
I literally have eel.
Yeah. Eel Day was quite a big one for me. So they had these live eels and dead eels. No eels were harmed in the making of Servant. And I'm a vegetarian, and I'm like incredibly squeamish when it comes to stuff like that. And the eels were being like skinned, and they were being stabbed, and like dead ones, and they were being like stabbed and put on like this drill, and I threw up in a bucket on set. Now the world knows.
Was it during a take?
It was not during a take,
okay,
no.
That's good.
They probably would have used it. I'm like, that's great. No, I ran off to the side and chunned in a bucket.
Okay.
Yeah, that was probably my most memorable day, I would say. What's your most memorable day, Rupert?
I don't know, there was a lot. That does stick out. Even though I wasn't there, I still have the memory of the aftermath of that.
Yeah, that was tricky.
But yeah, I mean, the thing with the script, every kind of episode has this new kind of surreal kind of set piece that plays out, and there's a lot of, just anything with the doll was kind of quite memorable. It quite hasn't left my mind yet.
Sure. I've been asking this of everyone recently. What TV show, besides your own, would you like to guest star on?
Glee.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not apologising.
Right?
You are quite a good singer, though.
Oh, thanks, Rupert.
We did a bit of karaoke.
We did. We sung, what did we sing?
A Whole
New World. That was it.
Yeah.
Was this at like a bar or like a very public place?
No, we went to a
karaoke club.
Oh,
bar.
God, it's like a private room.
We did have a private room.
You were quite regular at that place, weren't you?
I am indeed.
But, yeah, Whole New World. I think we did it justice.
That was the question.
I'm getting carried away with
That we did do it well, but you forgot your favourite bit.
my favourite.
When you do Don't You Dare Close Your Eyes.
Oh yeah, I
You
missed
missed
that
it.
bit. You know the bit when
We'll
he
reprise it.
when he kind of whispers, "Don't you dare close your eyes." I missed that, and it kind of threw me off for the rest of the song.
So there you go, man. There's your cast interview. So right now, if you don't want any spoilers, if you're planning on watching it or you haven't finished it yet, turn it off. All right. So this film, I keep calling it a film because it feels like a film. The story is very like modern horror movie vibe, but this movie is interesting, man. So, This series is interesting. I keep calling it a movie and a film because I binged it, so I was like watching a film. But so the baby comes to life when Nell's character shows up, and everybody's tripping, and the whole time, you know that Shyamalan is attached to this, so you're waiting for the twist. Are we crazy for seeing the baby alive? Are the characters crazy? Or is the dad crazy the whole time? Did he think that the baby died, but it really wasn't dead? Well, no. Turns out stuff is actually pretty creepy because Rupert Grint is the brother-in-law, is also aware that Jericho died, and you know everybody's aware in the immediate family that Jericho had passed away, but here's this live baby. The twist is that the nanny is like a Christ figure, and this cult had abducted her as a child, and she's kind of escaped the cult by applying for this nanny job. And about 70% of the way through the series, the father figure of this cult finds her, and so there's some interaction there, where he's trying to get her to come back to the cult, and they they kind of have words with her staying, but at the end of the day, he's not happy that she's choosing to stay. Then, towards the season finale, they get the baby baptized, and the mother figure comes back with the father figure from the cult. I think they're Uncle George and Aunt May is what they're called. And, they're creepy, but you kind of get more information on the whole situation, that every time the nanny is not in the house or not by the baby itself, the baby turns back into the still life doll. And that is pretty crazy. So that kind of clues you in that it is actually the nanny that is controlling whether or not this thing is alive. And it pretty much all culminates with the dad, Toby's character, proclaiming to the Uncle George character that he wants this baby to stay a baby, which Uncle George really doesn't give a shit. He wants the Christ figure to come back into the cult, and the whole thing kind of culminates with her returning to this cult after the baptism, and the baby turning back into the doll, like Pinocchio style. So you're kind of left to wonder exactly what season 2 is going to hold. There is going to be a season 2. It was announced before season 1 was even done that there would be a season 2. So I would imagine it's going to deal more with this cult and them trying to get the baby back, what have you. So, with that, overall grade for this thing, I would give it a solid B, mid-grade B, 85 to 87, teetering on a B+. I wasn't mad that I watched it. There were a couple points in it where I was kind of like, this thing needs to kind of get down to it, but overall I wasn't mad that I watched it. I thought it was pretty entertaining, and I thought overall they did a fairly good job with it. So with that wraps up this show, man. I hope you enjoyed the interviews. Hope you enjoyed kind of my analysis of the thing. It is worth watching, definitely. And looking forward to seeing more of it down the road. Even more so, looking forward to see if Apple TV Plus puts another horror one in there. They've got a kind of Always Sunny in Philadelphia looking show that looks pretty funny, with Rob McElroy programming a video game or something that I want to check out. Anyway, man, thank you for listening to this week's show. Hope you enjoyed it. We will be back this week again with the Hall of Fame and the Golden Skulls. It's going to be a big one. Going to be a big day. 2 big shows. It was a lot of fun to record them last week in between filming. And yeah, next week on this show, we will be highlighting Netflix's Dracula. So with some interviews from the cast and crew from that. As I just finished that one was pretty interesting as well. So it's almost like a book club for the next few weeks. If you haven't watched it or you feel like you want to know what I'm talking about on next week's Warfic podcast, that is the show to watch. All right. Take care. Stay spooky, everybody.